Ta-da! And welcome to Joseph's Model Railway and Toy Room. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, just a little bit of housekeeping. You don't need to like, follow, or subscribe. I just put the videos out there where I can and have a jolly good time doing so. Today, excellent video, of course. The second loop is well and truly under construction, but we're going to take you over to another part of the layout where our feature rail crossing is. And a little bit further up is where we have the return line passing over and we have a roadway that goes under. And with this roadway, like many of these underpasses we see, in some particular areas, depending on the length or how it's configured, there is no room for overhead street lighting. So they will mount a series of lighting fixtures within the underpass, tunnel, what have you, to keep it illuminated during the evening. First, let's just take a moment to appreciate, you'll see things like this on a freeway here in Australia, on a motorway if you're in the UK, or an expressway, or any other word you want to call it if you're in another country. The particular inspiration that I was going for was not to simply put lights across the top, which is generally what is done, or putting them down on the side. I actually wanted to angle them on a 45-degree angle right into the corner of where they are. And the inspiration for this particular one was when I had to leave my hometown and come to the city of Adelaide in South Australia, and I needed to travel to my campus for studying. I needed to catch the world famous opal bus system that exists in Adelaide. And of course, leaving the Hackney Road entrance, you had to pass through an underpass that had a series of lights. Generally a sodium vapor or halogen lamp. Sometimes there was a configuration of both cool white and warm white to do with fog and all the rest of it in its location. And if we look at this particular picture here is just the entrance and a little snapshot, the closest I can get you without jumping on a bus and heading down onto the busway. So that's what we're trying to do. Of course, we're on a much smaller scale and I'm not going to be able to do the angled thing with any genuine amount of success without somehow joining the top and bottom parts together, which, as I've always said with that back line, is flexible enough that we can jack it up and move it if we ever need to do something in the future. So join me now and have a look at how I take literally just a couple of dollars to take a few key pieces and turn an otherwise boring section of my layout into its own little feature, which is really what this is all going to come down to, is the explicit detail, as we'll go into with some other videos. Yes, I admit we're not going to have the train running around by the end of 2022, but we're still waiting on some different bits and pieces and I can't help that. So we're just going to go back and start carrying on with other little projects as we go. So then I had this brainwave idea. These two sections of timber here are the bits that would be appearing from the inside of that particular overpass. And on some of these, and this is unlikely because it's so small, but in some places you would have seen these and they're illuminated above with a sort of orange or sodium vapor type of lamp. I think it's to do with the fog and what have you. So then I thought, hang on a minute, let's get a couple of little orange LEDs. Again, we really don't want much light output. And what we're going to need to do, we need our resistor, but just for the sake of the demonstration, of course, let us just put this on. And there you can see a little orange glow, which is just perfect. So I thought what we might do is drill a hole, recess them in the side, that's just for convenience. But then we're going to just clip on this LED diffuser. And so it should just give this nice thing. Now to segment it so it looks like there are 4 or 3 floodlights up there, we'll use a bit of plastic putty and some tape in between. We'll just use a bit of painter's tape to separate it so it looks like we've got 3 rectangular lights. And that's the plan. We'll drill the hole, the wire will come out the back here, and as you saw in the previous picture, it's going to dangle down. So the fixture will literally just sit in place there. Remember, that's all set so I can actually remove them if needed. And we should get a nice little effect going into the underpass. Not much light that we can see all the indiscretions that I haven't finished because there's nothing there, but just a nice little glow that might add a little bit of a touch. That's the idea. This bit I have a feeling might be a bit too big for those particular LEDs. Might slow that down a bit. Now, the reason the drill is protruding so far is I'm hoping that I can score to hit the second one. I don't think we've got the depth to drill two at once, but I do want the holes to be in consistently the same place to sort of semi-line up, so to speak. So what I think we're going to do, first thing is we probably should mark where they're going to go. So this would be the... accept that. Doesn't have to be too perfect. We've got the diffuser to do the work for us. Let's go down and see what we can come up with. It's a pretty substantial hole we're going to be drilling too. Making sure we can just use the one resistor. I think anyone that's worked with this particular type of wire will know you do need to be a little bit sensitive. We're dealing with something that is the thickness of human hair, so it's very simple to cut the wire instead of strip the wire, because once this is done we can get it all loomed, soldered properly together, and we should have a lovely fixture that should go. I am just trying to go for the effect. I am not trying to illuminate a practical space. This will be much easier to deal with once it is soldered. In fact, even for the demonstration, I'm very close to just firing up that soldering iron. Of course, it's so fine I can't just come in easily and put one of our traditional types of connectors on, so here we are. I do like that they do give us a ridiculous amount of tail to play with here, probably because they know you're going to stuff it up trying to strip these things apart. All right, this should at least give us a bit of a test connection. Let's see what we come up with. I don't know if we're going to get all these in shot for you. Looks good to me. That looks pretty good. In fact, just put it under here where the diffuser is. Lovely. I like it. All right, let's make this happen then. So the next thing that I think we're going to do, cut this strip stuff to where we need it. And to do that, we need a good cut. We do want to just keep it a little bit shorter. Don't worry about the ends. I see you're all panicking there. We're going to tune that up nicely for you. We're just doing this to stop the light bleed. We're just looking for gaps where that light could bleed, like you can see, hopefully in this shot here. Thought I might just do a voiceover section here. As you can see, I'm using that Vallejo gap filler in between where I've put the tape. It's what you saw in the previous video when I was tinkering with the sand dunes. The reason I'm just putting it there is it gives me a little bit of segregation between each of the lights, so it looks like there are actually different separate light fixtures up there. I like using it because it just dries a little bit quicker.
Now you can also see me just whip in there with just the Helmar glue. I want something that's going to dry pretty quickly, that I could just go forth and attach that little piece of LED diffuser. Here you can see I'm starting to aggregate those fine leads from our little LEDs. I'm aggregating them together, soldering them up as one, and also adding a little length of heat shrink just to give it a little bit of strain relief and just take the tension off of it. Again, they are fine cables. So we carry on soldering, and I have done previous videos regarding this, and I can't specify it enough. Please do make sure that you do tin cables before you start to join them together. Yes, using a drop of flux and pre-soldering each one makes things so much easier. And just a quick drop of glue to ensure that the LEDs will stay in the correct place. And we might just leave that tape on, it can't hurt, just to keep the cables in the right spot for the moment. They gave us plenty of 1K resistors, and I have thousands of these anyway, so I decided I may as well just solder one to each feed and then just plug and play for the next person if they can't figure out what I did. Be a bit generous with the flux here. Grab some solder, up to temperature, good. Beautiful. For this one, and as you can now see with these wonderful photos, that is absolutely magnificent. The perfect result that I am looking for. And whether the room lights are on or they are off, we get this tremendous effect that catches the eye and draws you in onto yet another fantastic little scene we'll be working upon. Ladies and gentlemen, that now concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Stay safe. Toodles!